Okay, so hi everyone, and welcome to our second mini seminar this year. Thank you all for joining in. Today we will listen and learn from a project in Denmark. Welcome Fiona Hers from Orbicon. You can hear me, can you? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Did you hear me before? No.
No, I didn't.
No.
It's been silent for the last couple of minutes.
Okay. So let's start again. Hi and welcome to our second mini seminar this year. Thank you all for joining in. We are many people listening today. Um, Today we will listen and learn from a project in Denmark, and welcome to Fiona Hers, who will do this presentation.
Thank you very much. We're very excited to be here and contributing to your mini seminars. So this morning I'd just like to give a quick introduction to Orbicon and our approach to landscape architecture, and also particularly how we create stormwater management solutions that are not only well integrated into the public space, but they also give increased environmental and social benefits for the end users. So to do this, I'd like to share a case study that I've worked on while at Orbicon, which is called Balle, and that's a residential area in Western Denmark. So before I start, I thought it'd just be good to give an introduction into who we are at Orbicon. So we work within the climate adaptation and urban development team, and we're actually a team of 27 multidisciplinary staff members who include landscape architects, hydrologists, engineers, project managers, but also planning. And our work's grown quite quickly over the last 10 years. So there's been quite a strong shift from a traditional pit and pipe method, like you can see on the left-hand side, to how we create more complex and multidisciplinary projects where we can deliver expertise in climate resiliency, but also landscape architecture and urban development. So that means, as particularly as landscape architects, quite a big and important part of our role is how we challenge the traditional engineering approach, but also how we collaborate with other disciplines to create really multifunctional spaces. So just to give you an idea of who we are as the landscape architects here in Denmark, we're actually a team of 13. And just to point out a couple of people, Jesper is our team leader here in Denmark and also our technical design leader, and he's listening in today along with Patrick, who's our sales and marketing leader. I'm quite proud to say that even though we're quite a small team of 13 landscape architects, and we've got 10 in the office here in Copenhagen, we actually deliver quite a large range of work and have a large range of competencies within our team. So we are involved in all stages of the design process, and this includes work from both strategy, visioning documents, master plans, urban development, renders, all the way through the design process to detailed design, 3D modeling, administration. In order to do this, our department has developed quite a number of different tools that we work with. I won't go into a lot of detail, but just to mention a couple of them. The first one is Mulius, which we can see up here. It's a digital that we use to help specify how we project an organisation can actually work with the Sustainable Development Goals. And we've also developed a number of different hydraulic tools. I think there's a plan in the future that we'll do another mini seminar where we can explain these in a bit more detail. But one that I'd just like to mention is the speedometer approach. So this is quite a useful tool that helps us to basically align where we're working in the design process with which hydraulic tool we're using. So what I mean with this is when we're in the early design phases, we typically use either Skelco or an XLR, and I'll show you both examples of this, which are quite quick and easy to use tools, whereas later in the design process where we're in a more detailed phase and much closer to our end design solution, we typically use a mic and a more detailed hydraulic model that's a lot more time and expensive to run. The work tool that I actually like to focus most on today, though, is how we integrate our landscape architecture and hydrology using a 3D terrain and a model, and then how we pass this on into the hydraulic modelling software to test and give quality assurance back to the end client. So to do this, I'd like to share a project called Bygade. And Bygade is a residential area in Bygade, which is located in West Denmark. And the site's located here, which is approximately 5 kilometres from the city centre, and it's about 4 hectares inside. And just to give you a bit of an idea about Bygade as the area, it's actually quite famous in Denmark. It's being really well renowned for its undulating topography and very famous for its forests and its lake district. So this was quite an important aspect of our client. The city of Bygade really wanted to retain the existing landscape within the design, but also create an attractive low-density residential development that was particularly aimed at families, so how we integrate social, play, recreational opportunities within the development. They also had a really keen desire that we integrate stormwater handling on the site, and that it could be used to inspire other developments within the area. I'd also just like to point out that before we started on the project, there was actually a local area plan that was done for the site, and that included an existing layout. This is the existing layout that you can see here on the screen. As you can see, it's very traditional, and there's actually 76 dwellings proposed as part of it, with very limited space for landscape and recreational and stormwater opportunities. So a big part of our role was how we challenged and create a more site responsive solution. So in order to do this, we ran a collaborative design workshop with the City of Bygade, where we invited participants from the City of Bygade, including their planners, landscape architects, hydrologists, and traffic engineers, along with the Bygade utility company. We then ran the workshop where we used Orbicon's systematic approach to stormwater design, and that includes in collaboration with how we set the project visions and goals. We also make sure that we've got a clear understanding of what the site's opportunities and constraints are. And then once we've got this understanding, we can start to set what are the guiding principles and the structure that we need to work with, both from a landscape architecture perspective, but also from stormwater handling. And then once we've got this overall framework in place, we can then start creating different design concepts and testing different solutions within the area. So as part of the workshop, we actually challenged the City of Bygade participants to come up with different sketch designs and test different ideas. So this is just one of the 7 sketch designs that came out of the workshop. And then all this information and ideas were collated into one overall concept plan. This was then agreed with the City of Bygade, and as you can see, some of the key objectives of what the concept plan does is it integrates both an everyday rain event and a cloudburst event, and by directing and containing the water on the ground level, but also there's place for water to be stored within the large rainwater basins towards the south of the site. There was also quite a strong focus on how we create a holistic residential design. So just a couple of features of how we've done this. There was a central shared space in the top of the site or in the middle of the site that becomes quite a key focal area. And this is also located on the highest point within the site, so it gives some quite interesting views out to the surrounding residential area. As well as this, all the residential street or street here, as well as the shared spaces where the road intersects with the green accesses within the urban development. So these are all designed as quite low-speed social spaces and aim to sort of increase social interaction and play opportunities amongst residents. And then the third aspect is how we have this sort of wider landscape area, which is more natural and includes a swale and different rainwater features to direct the water down to the basin in the south side of the site. And there's a well-integrated path network and also play activities in this more open artificial mound area down here. We've also got quite a sort of extensive planting strategy where we integrate some open pockets of forest that is quite a typical landscape feature up in the Pilbara. So once the concept plan was developed, we then moved further and completed the detailed design and the documentation stage, as well as the tender process. At the moment, the site's currently in contract administration, but our design process has included a very close collaborative design process between the transport engineers, landscape architects, and hydraulic engineers. I thought I'd just give you a bit of an introduction also into how we work quite closely with our hydrologists on the project. So when we move into a detailed design stage, one of the first things that's very important to do again is like make sure that we have very clear planning and hydraulic requirements. So that means setting what the requirements are and understanding the geology, what's the infiltration ability within the site, can we infiltrate water into the groundwater, what's the percentage of impermeable surfaces that we're looking at, what's the safety factor, and what's the events that we need to look at. So in this case, it was a 5-year and 100-year rainfall event that we designed for. And so once we've got these requirements set, we then hand this information over to our hydrologists, where they can start to work on different volume calculations, including developing an understanding, okay, if we're looking at a 5-year rainfall event, how big does the basin need to be and what volume does it capture? So in this case, you can see the difference between, so we're looking at approximately 400 cubic meters for a 5-year event and 2,200, over 2,200 cubic meters for a 100-year event. We also need to work out what the sizing requirements are for the stormwater handling. So we typically use a large dimensioning Excel arc, and that's actually an Excel arc that's been developed by Denmark's Wastewater Committee, and it's been developed in conjunction with Søren Gabriel, who sits in our department and is our Climate Adaptation and Sustainability Development Officer. But our hydrologists can basically put in information within these Excel arcs, and then we can work out how big the different stormwater elements need to be. So we typically do this in collaboration, where we sort of test different sizing requirements and what this means. And it can be quite challenging at times because we need to find a good solution that fits with both the landscape architecture requirements, but also hydraulic, traffic engineering, and disabled access requirements. Once we've got all this information, this is all then passed back to our landscape architects who work with 3D modelling, and then they interpret and sort of start to design and form these stormwater elements and ensure that they fit within the existing topography. So this was our overall rainwater strategy that you can see for the site. So again, all rainwater is handled within the public open space and handled above ground. We have these large rain basins here to hold water, but it's also infiltrated back into the groundwater surface. And there's this swales and rills which direct water down to the southeastern corner of the site. So the whole site was modelled up in 3D, including the private lot. And that's quite interesting because it means that it's actually the responsibility of the landowner to then direct water back out to the open space areas. But we can also stipulate, okay, where does the water need to come out and what level do they need to provide the water to. There's also a couple of advantages of using a 3D terrain model. So one of which, of course, you're probably aware of is that this information can be passed on to the contractor when they're doing the contract administration to do the earthworks and grading on the site. But another key advantage that we find really beneficial on our project is that we can use the 3D model to test and basically the quality assurance method for our clients. So this is an example where we transferred the 3D model onto a GeoSwift file, and then we uploaded it into Elgo in order to test and see where the stormwater flow paths are and where the low points of the site are. So this was great because it basically proved that our design should work in theory, in practice, I should say. And then we can also do it using a mic model. So this is a dynamic model which calculates the water depth over different rainfall events. So you can see the difference between the 5 and the 100-year events and the difference in water depth that we are expecting to receive on the site, where it's under 1 metre in the 5-year event, but up over 1.5 metres in the 100-year event. So that brings me to the end of the presentation. I hope that gives you a little bit of an insight into how we work with stormwater management and landscape architecture here in Orbicon, but also insight into how we've contributed to a project using this approach. As I mentioned, the project's actually under construction at the moment. Unfortunately, we've had quite a lot of rain here in Denmark, so we've been a little bit delayed, but we're looking forward to seeing it finished at the end of the year. Thanks very much, and please let me know if you've got any questions.
Thank you. So let's start with some questions or input or something else. Do we have any? So we have a question from Hiroko. How long the project lasted?
For the design phases, I think it was approximately the first design of the concept plan where we did the workshop and delivered a concept plan. That was approximately a month. And then we submitted our proposal for the next design phase. And if I remember correctly, maybe 3 to 4 months to do the detailed design and documentation. And so we submitted that at the end of last year, and then it started construction, towards the end of last year.
Thank you. We also have from Eli Maria, did you get some inspiration from the plan for Fornebu?
Or, sorry, what was the last word?
So, I don't know how to pronounce it, sorry.
Yeah, I can add it. It is a project in Norway. It's a big development of the older airport, which has the exact same sort of outline with a central park in the middle and then green corridors coming into the middle, and also the principles of the water handling. And it's working very well, and I was thinking it could be an interesting project for you to visit or to look into, because it's kind of has a lot of similarities.
Ah, that'd be really interesting. I haven't actually seen or heard about that project, so I look forward to checking it out after.
Yeah. It's a very nice project, both of these. Yes.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions? I think it looks like a fun way to work together, with also the municipality in the way that you did.
Yeah, that was really beneficial, I must say. We were very pleased to be able to work with the City of Silkeborg using that collaborative design method, and I think it gave the project a lot of benefits. One, that we were able to create a collaborative solution with them, so it meant that all their feedback and wishes and values for the site were integrated from the start, but it also made the rest of the design process a lot smoother, because it meant that there were more technical design questions that we needed to talk and work with the City of Singapore through, that we could easily work with them during the detailed design process.
Exciting. So do we have any more questions or input? Otherwise we could, here. How did you work with security along the water?
Safety.
Yeah, that's a good question, safety and security. So the rain basins that were in the southeast corner of the site, they don't actually have a permanent water body. So they're intended that the water level will fluctuate with them over time. That's a good idea. I can show you that on the plan. So even though we've showed is like a dark blue area here, it's actually showing how it would look like when there's a 100-year event on the site. But actually, through just in the everyday situation, it would almost be more like vegetated whales or vegetated areas that could actually be used for play. But when we're designing for safety, we're sort of careful with the slope grades that we use, so that people can closely have access to the water and use it as a play feature, but also in the event that there is quite a large area of water that they can quickly get out. If that makes sense.
Thank you. We have another question from Maria. How did you get the work from the very beginning? From a bid, or how did you get it?
That was Patrick.
Silkeborg municipality is a well-known customer of ours. So they contacted us directly, as they wanted to start experimenting with how they can integrate climate adaptation and LAR into the urban development. So they wanted to make this example project. Due to relations, and they knew our competence within this area, they choose just to ask us. So we were lucky, and then we of course went a long way to persuade them in working in this manner. But we were also lucky to just have a customer who wanted to try this out.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you so much for your presentation, and yeah, you had the mail, and so if someone wants to know anything more, it's just to email you.
Definitely. Also a little advertisement. I'm actually working out of the Stockholm office on the 16th and 17th of April. So if anyone's got any questions or wants to catch up for a coffee, just let me know. I'd happily make time.
Okay, fun. Okay, so thank you everyone, and thank you again for joining in for this call.
Thank you.
See you next month.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.